I just spent the past half an hour explaining to this Christian guy about because he was debating. He says that Jesus will. Okay, he says Jesus will give you the morning star. Okay, and he had a point, and he said the morning star is associated with your heart, it's the light of the heart, right? And that he was, and then he says the old Latin word is Hilal. So when I tried to tell him that, guess what? The word Hilal in Arabic is the same. It's as Latin, so it's not much different. And I told him to look it up also because he says in Aramaic it's similar. And I said to him, no, he goes to me, no, we're not talking about halal, whatever, kosher meat and whatnot. And I said to him, no, we have two different words in Arabic and they mean two different things. Halal is mean kosher. It means kosher, right? It's, when you behead the animal, you sacrifice it and stuff, you have, you've sacrificed it a certain way, you prepare it a certain way. It's like kosher, similar to the Jewish. And I said to him, Helal in Arabic is mean crescent. It means crescent moon, right? It's associated with the moon. And then he goes, I have not heard that before. I said, yes, it is. And he had to look it up and he goes, yeah, you're right, but he's still trying to debate it with me, telling me, no, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing from Aramaic, or it's two different words, in Hebrew, it does not mean the same. And I said to him, buddy, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. He's trying to say Islam is like a false religion and whatnot. Not knowing Christianity is, Christianity Bible, or the Bible has been messed up with. It's not really 100% the Word of God. There's a lot of, how many Bibles are there? King James and all these Bibles, even all these aspect of like a Christianity. There's so many Bibles. There is a Roman Bible. There's a this and that. How many Bibles are there? Okay. So if God already sent only one Bible, right? If you're saying the Bible is legit, it's 100% the Word of God, right? Let's roll with that. It's 100% the Word of God, right? Then why would you have many versions of the same thing? Why the original one? What's wrong with it? Why you have to have all these Bibles, different versions? Books are removed from this one and added to this one, and added to that one and removed from that one. You understand? Why would you have to remove books? Right? Yeah. So that's a question. The Bible is not 100%. Satan messed up with that book. Okay? Satan messed up with the book. So I didn't want to really get into debate with him because he truly believe, it's two different words. And I said to him, no, it's the same thing in Islam. And he says, no, Islam, they, sacrifice animal to an idol. Allah is, he told me, Allah is an idol. It's not God, Anyhow, when somebody seems so adamant about their belief, you cannot make that person believe anything, even if you give him the evidence. If I sat there almost for the next 5 hours telling him, buddy, the same word, exactly the same word, Hilal and halal are two different words. We have two different words. He thought I meant halal meat for hilal, which is not the same thing. We have two different words. One halal is like the kosher, the way you prepare the animal for, you prepare it to God. You know what I mean? God is not an idol. We're not sacrificing an animal to an idol. We sacrifice it for God, right? Because that was the lamb that God sent. He sent with Gabriel. I think he sent with Gabriel when he was testing our father Abraham, and he told him to behead his son, and he was going to do it. He says, I saw, he says, أين رأيت في المنام إنك أذبحك. And his son, he says, do what you're told. أفعل ما أمرت. I don't know the exact words for it. I don't want to say it because I'm gonna mess it, but I'm just gonna explain it to you what it means. He says, I saw you in a dream. I'm beheading you to his son. I can't remember his son's name. That was Abraham talking to his son. He was dreaming, beheading his son. And he said to you, his son, he says to him, because his son, he believed. And he said, do what you're told. Because he knows Abraham is talking to God. He knows Abraham was talking to God. So, and his son was, just give me 1 second. Yeah. So I'm walking. Anyhow, his son knew that his father, Abraham, was talking to God. So when he saw a vision in a dream that killing his own son, he was thinking about it when he woke up, and he told his son about it. He says, I saw, it was a test. Similar to the 144,000, now we were being tested. I told you guys we were being tested. This is a test, Anyhow, just to see how far you'll go. Would you do what you're told, or will you fight it? Would you not follow God, command? And anyhow, before he was gonna behead his own son, and when he was just about to, God sent the lamb with he sent the lamb with Gabriel, and he said to him, God sent this lamb to sacrifice the lamb instead of your son. Basically, he passed the test because he already was going to do it. And that's it, because it would test you. God would test you, because I think that was Abraham's favorite son. I think he was one of his. I think he had one. No, I think he had more. He asked God for one. I think he would give him more. But anyhow, that's his favorite son, because Abraham, he could not have children for a longest time. And when he finally was, asked God for one, he was given more than one. And so his favorite son, obviously, because he stayed, they said, was it 90 years or 100 years? I can't remember. Who could not have children. His wife, I think, was 70. I think, was she 70 when she had the children, his first son? I think that what it was. But anyhow, to get back to the story, a test. So this guy, he was having this half an hour debate with me, telling me, Islam is a false religion. We sacrifice to idols like God, and he's saying, God, in Islam, Allah is not the true God. He's an idol. And no. So even if I went ahead and told him this story, where is Islam sacrifice came from, he would not believe me because you just feel it. You feel that person, and it doesn't matter what you do to that person to get them to understand what you're coming from, and to understand what the idea behind the sacrifice that in Islam, where we sacrifice Eid al-Adha, meaning, it's where we sacrifice a lamb, not a person, Anyhow, that's where it came from. But so anyhow, I just thought to myself, you know what? Just leave it, man. He's one of these people who is he seemed like you cannot really get him to understand, even because you already have that preconceived idea of Islam. He already this decision already in his head, a negative, idea of Islam. He thinks Islam is false, and and he thinks it's not a true religion, and he thinks Christianity is a true, not knowing the Bible is it's been altered many different ways. And for me to explain to him, you should not really follow the Bible to the T. You can decipher the Bible if you want, break things down and see what resonates with you, but do not really go batting for defending the Bible in such a way. Meanwhile, the Bible is been altered. Satan been hard at work. Altering the word of God, right? In Islam, we believe in the Holy Quran is the only book that God protected out of the 4 holy books, and that's what's kind of we've been talking about, for yeah. That's what I just said to myself. You know what? I was having this discussion in TikTok about Hilal and Halal. He thought I was talking about. It's hard. You know what? It's hard to talk to somebody who's already have preconceived idea of something that you could not, because these people would not believe no matter what you tell them. No matter what you try to, even explain things, even if you try to explain things in a way that people would get and understand, he will still fight it. So what's the point to get into this deep discussion with somebody? I feel he's not gonna, no, he's just gonna fight, because I even told him I was Muslim, because I didn't tell him I was Muslim because I didn't want him to speak freely. No, I wanted to tell him, I was telling him I'm a Muslim because I want him to understand I know what I'm talking about, what I told him. So, yeah, it's not like I'm just telling him something that, without providing him the proof. You know what? I don't claim to know everything about, Holy Quran. But what I know, if I said, if I'm talking about something that I'm 100% sure of? Yeah, I can explain it to you in a way you can understand. Even that, what I tried out with him. When I tried out with him, it was like pulling teeth. It's not worth it. It wasn't worth it for me trying to get him on my side because he seemed like already he was talking about negatively about Islam, and someone like that, because okay, we were talking about religion. The whole channel is about religion. His whole channel about religion. And then he started talking about Trump. What's happening in the Middle East. So I was just kind of confused about the whole thing. You were just talking about God. And now you're talking about politics. But anyhow, I just end up logging out. I didn't feel like having this conversation with him because it's a lost cause. I feel like it's this person you cannot help this person because this woman scared the hell out of me. She's over there. That is dumpster. Wow. She was making all this noise. But anyhow, been drinking or something. Anyhow, so I couldn't really have this conversation with him because one moment he's talking about God and he seemed like, you know what, I respect people who want to learn about God and wanted to decipher things. That's what I do. But when you have this negative idea of somebody else's religion, or because you do not believe that religion is the true religion, because you believe Christianity is the true religion. In Islam we believe in Christianity, the Torah, Zabur, and we believe in these books that came, but we do not believe all these books are word of God, because God said it in the Holy Quran. Do not follow these books. Everything is not 100%, but an imam in a mosque, they debate these books. They use these books to explain to someone who's non-believer about, okay, this is what Bible says, but look what the Holy Quran, and then they compare it, so that person would get that, you get the point across. You understand? So, yeah. So, but these, yeah. He seemed like, maybe he wants to know about God, but he's still fighting that any idea outside of Christianity, because he believes a whole Quran is false. Christianity is true. But he even mentioned, he says, King James Bible is still not the greatest, but it's the closest thing to God, the Word of God. So you're saying, he was telling me pretty much, he's like, yeah, I believe, King James is not the best. That means there is a question mark, right? You do not believe 100%. Then when somebody telling you Hilal and Halal are two different things in Islam, you should not fight that person, because he went and looked at it. He asked ChatGPT everything. He think, you also need to decipher. ChatGPT is not 100% on point all the time.